Hello everyone, this is Muhammed Ukhasat and I'll be presenting detection and prevention of cross-site scripting using cross-site scripting, that is XSS attack using Verb Suite. So today's agendas are introduction to XSS, types of XSS attack, how it works, using Verb Suite for detection. I'll show the live demonstration and workflow at the end, prevention and remediation techniques. So let us start by understanding what is this XSS, what is this cross-site scripting. So it is a web security vulnerability or a web application vulnerability. It's an injection attack. So where an attacker manages to inject malicious script into a trusted website. When the user visits the page, the browser unknowingly executes this attack. Why does this browser unknowingly does? Because it thinks it's from this trusted website. So when this happens, the hacker is able to steal certain sensitive informations like the cookies, the session tokens, or even redirects user to some harmful pages. So in simple terms, I can tell is XSS happens when the website doesn't actually handle or clean the data properly. So let me give you an example or a scenario. So we go to there are a lot of like websites. So some websites, what happens is they suddenly ads pop up, and when we go to close them, we go to another website, like a malicious website that is actually. So this is a very big example of XSS. There are types of XSS. There are three types, that is stored, reflected, and DOM based. So I'll start with what is reflected. So as you can see, reflected immediately is reflected. The name says it should be immediately reflected. That is reflected. So like what happens? How this happens is this happens when the attacker he creates a link or a form that includes these malicious code. The server immediately reflects that input back into the page. If a user clicks the link, the injected script runs right away. Think of it like a one-time trick delivered through a URL. So they are often like reflected. Reflected is often used in phishing. Next, I'll tell you. Secondly, I'll tell you about stored. So this is more dangerous. Is because the attacker submits malicious content and the server saves it in the database. That's why it's called stored. It is even called persistent, is because it's very persistent. So it's stored like we can see this way, like a comment you can say or a profile bio. Every time another user loads that page, the script is served from the site and runs into their browser because of its persistent. Again, because of its persistent, it is called a persistent XSS. So why is this more dangerous? Is because it has a bigger effect. A lot of users are affected, bigger impact. Then lastly, DOM-based XSS. This is different from reflected and stored is because this happens in the client side. Where reflected and stored, they target the server. So what is DOM? DOM is document object model. It is a functionality that handles the JavaScript in your web page. So it checks how the website is storing or handling your data. So this one happens entirely because your own JavaScript reads data from the URL or page and writes it into the DOM using unsafe like methods like inner HTML. The server may never see the malicious input, but nonetheless it will execute them. So how does this XSS actually work? So I'll tell you in three simple steps. First, an attacker he finds a place where the website can accept the user's input. This could be like anything, like the search box you can tell, or a comment field, or even a value in the URL. That's the input point for the attacker's control. That's where he controls the attack. Second point, the website takes that input and sends it back to the user without cleaning it or escaping it. In other words, the site treats the attacker's text as if it were safe content and embedded it into the page. So it is either immediate or it is stored. It can be depends on what the attacker is using, stored or uh, reflected XSS. So third point is when someone visits that page, their browser reads the page and executes any script it finds. Since the script appears it appears from a trusted website, the browser runs it with it. The browser runs the script with the site's privileges, meaning like the attacker can do things now, like he can read the cookies, he can modify the page or trigger actions on the user's behalf. Like I've given an image. Let's understand this. So this is the attacker. He injects this malicious script in a vulnerable page or a server. So it can be saved, it can be stored XSS, or it is reflected back. It can be reflected immediately. That is reflected XSS. So the victim he visits the web page. The browser checks the web page. It's like a trusted website. So it runs the code, and it runs the attacker's code, the hacker's code as well. So that's how the victim gets the cookies get stolen, and session IDs also get stolen, like this. So as I told, there are different types of XSS, and stored and reflected XSS and DOM, they work in different ways as well. So I'll start with how reflected XSS works. So how reflected XSS works is, see, the attacker builds a URL from or form. He builds a URL or form that includes these malicious JavaScript in a parameter. A URL is created, or a form or a URL is created which contain these tiny pieces of malicious JavaScript. They then trick the user into clicking these forms or links somehow. They form or link. So when the user opens this link or clicks the form, the web server immediately builds a response page that includes the attacker's input without clearing it, because the server is just echoing the value back. The browser treats it as a part of the page and runs the code, the predator's code, or you can say the attacker's code. So I've given a simple URL example, that is search queue script alert. So here what happens is, if the site puts the queue value string into the HTML, the script runs as soon as the page loads. You will see an alert pop up with this XSS written in it. So this is a predator. He injects, and it's straight up reflected back to him ASAP. Like it's reflected back, and the victims visits the site or clicks on it, and the attacker's code runs in his browser. Next is how stored XSS works. So attacker submits malicious script into an input that the site stores. For example, it can be comment or your profile or the attacker's profile bio or forum post. The site saves this data. So it saves the data like any other like comment. Like imagine if it's a comment, and it'll save anything like thinking it's a comment. So when users view the page, the stored payload is loaded from the database into the page. The victim's browser executes the script. So it executes the attacker script. See, the attacker's web browser, he sends an XSS payload, and it's saved into the database, and the victim uses the XSS payload. Victim browser executes the XSS payload of the attacker's payload is executed in his browser. So as I told, it is called persistent XSS. Okay, so let us imagine a website like a form or a social media site will take. An attacker finds a place where a user can write something like, again, a comment or a profile bio. Instead of just trying a normal message or typing a normal message, the attacker sneaks in this malicious code or script. He just puts this, it's usually JavaScript only. And the website stores that input like as I told you, like any other normal comment. Later, when other users visit the page, the website loads that stored content directly into their browser without checking it. So the malicious code runs automatically. So this is one of the examples. Script fetch https attack.com document.cookie. So here what this tag is doing is it's fetching the victim's cookie. Let's go back and how XSS works. So I have a small scenario or analogy, we can say. So let us think. Imagine there is a public bulletin board where anyone can post a note. If the board manager or board leader will tell, he reads every note and he doesn't check that. Someone could slip in something like dangerous instruction, right? Like everyone would hear that hear the instruction and they would follow it. So this check, like he didn't check it. So this checking is what we call validation and escaping. Without this validation and escaping, the browser will obediently reads and executes the attacker's instruction. So last one is there, that is DOM based. So how DOM based work? So DOM based works in very plain terms. So first, attacker puts data. So first what happens is attacker puts data into the browser. For example, in the page URL, you can say, or hash local storage, post message, or even document.refer. Like that's the source. That is the source. So if the page JavaScript reads the attack, if the page let's say the page JavaScript reads the attacker's control data and then inserts it into the page using unsafe APIs like inner HTML, document write, or even eval, the browser will treat it as a code and will run it. That's the sync plus execution. Because this all happens in the browser, the server doesn't like log the malicious string. So it can be much harder to spot this. The impact is real. An attacker can steal cookies, perform actions as a user display, fake UI, or even phishing, or deface the page. Next is, what is Burp Suite? So Burp Suite is a widely used web security testing platform. So it sits between your browser and your site. So it can inspect and manipulate your HTTP traffics. So it's a combination of proxy, repeater, intruder, decoder, and scanner all built in one. So it's letting testers find and verify, exploit common web vulnerabilities faster and more accurately. So it is used for safe authorization, testing, and to understand how an app or a website behaves under like unusual inputs. So how does this Burp Suite helps in detecting XSS? So there are, as I told you, it's a combination of proxy, repeater, intruder, and even decoder. Decoder and scanner. Scanner is a Burp Suite tool. I'll explain in a minute. So let's start up with proxy. So as you can read, captures and inspects requests. So what does proxy do? So proxy, it captures request and response. That's where you look for places look for places in the website that reflects the user's input, like form fields, query strings, or even headers. If you see input showing in your response, that's like one of your first clue. So next I'll tell about next is the repeater. So grab a suspicious request and you send it to the repeater. Now what does this repeater do? So you can change the parameter in the repeater and test the payloads and resend it over and over and over while watching the response. Repeater is perfect for it's very perfect. It's perfect for careful verification. Does then the intruder. So intruder, what it does is it tests many payloads and many parameters quickly. So intruder automates it, and you can fuzz a parameter with a list of XSS payloads. You can find cases that you might miss like manually while using a repeater. So decoder what it encodes and decodes payload, that is URL, HTML entities, to bypass filters, craft context appropriate, and exploit them. Then next is scanner. Scanner is you get it with Burp Suite Pro, so it'll automatically test any common XSS pattern and give you the evidence and what prevention methods or hints it'll give you, like what to do, which is useful to catch low hanging fruit, you can say, and produce like low level XSS attacks you can find the Scanner Pro. So next is the prevention techniques. So first, so it comes as input validation. So in input validation, so what it tells, like accept only expected data and forms, example, email, text, numbers, reject or sanitize suspicious characters. Like I'll show you an example, like workflow, how it what it means. Like in a text box, you can either write text or some text you can write even numbers if you want, like alphanumerical or just letters. So if it goes beyond, if you can put like characters and stuff like that, so that means you can write any tags if you want. You can put anyone can put their script. So output encoding. This is a very important difference. Before displaying your user input back on the page, escape special characters like you need to escape special characters like greater than, lesser than, double quotes or quote. This prevents the browser from interpreting them as a code. So it won't think it as a code, because greater or lesser than, if you can use any one of them or even both are accepted, means you can write any tags. So you need not put them, or else the web page will think it as a code. Next is the safe coding practices. Safe coding practices avoid dangerous functions like inner HTML, document write, or even eval when working with some user data. Instead, like we can use safer alternatives like text content or even inner text, which display data as a plain text rather than code. Next is like HTML sanitization. Like you can, as the name says, it's a great example. A great example is like DOM Purify, which cleans and removes malicious tags or attributes before rendering them. Then is secure and CSP. Set cookies with HTTP only, secure and same site flags. Implement a content security policy, that CSP, or block untrusted scripts. Continuous texting and updating. You can use Burp Suite or any other, and you can regularly scan your applications to keep your framework and libraries up to date. Make sure your development team understands how to write and secure code. So in short, again, it is input validation, output encoding, then safe coding practices, HTML sanitization, secure cookies, CSP, and continuous testing. So I'll show you an example. Kari. Let me open my Burp Suite. Let's copy this. I'll access the lab. I'll start with the stored XSS. This is loading. Give me some second. Start project. Proxy. So let us go to any post. As you see, comments are just saved over here. So that's why it's called stored. So let me comment. This is the test. Any random name is fine. So I'll on my proxy to Burp Suite and I'll capture this request. As you can see, my parameters are all different. So I'll forward this. Your comment, thank you for your comment. Okay, let's go back. Let's go to our HTTP history and find the input and output point. The post is the input point. We can see this is our input. Let's send it to the repeater. Let us check for the output point where our comment has been shown. Like, see, you can see here, it's stored where the comment has been stored is the output point. So let's search for that. I think it's the last one. Let's see the responses. Yes, it must be here. Okay. So let's see. Yeah, this is a test. So this is. So let's send this also to the repeater. Let's go to the repeater. You can see there are two. So let's create a group and call this stored. Create. So the first one is the input, as you can see, and the second one is the output. So what will change the parameters, and as I told you, like while showing the prevention methods, this output encoding, make sure there is no greater than, it doesn't accept greater than and lesser than, greater than or lesser than this. What if it accepts, it's a problem. So first we'll check if it accepts greater than or lesser than special characters or something. We'll check. So I will just send group in sequence. No, I'll separate connections or some numbers. So I'll see the response. So yeah, you can see it is accepted. It has no problem or something. So if that is accepted, means you can write a script. And like the attacker can write a script, malicious code. So I'll just write this. This what happens is an alert, and one will pop up. So I'll write this and I'll send this. Let's see. Let's go here. Let's see response, and this will show up. This also is accepted. So I'll show you to the URL, the browser. Just copy this. Go to the browser. Paste it. See, the alert has been popped up. So this is stored XSS. So I'll go for the reflected now. Just access the lab. So here, let me capture this request that I'll write test. Okay, let me go proxy. Let me let me capture this. So it's captured. Let me send to the repeater, and let me see if I can put any special symbols like this if it has no problem. Certain special symbols like this, and let me see. Let me send it and let's see the response. So see, zero search result. It's showing. It's showing. So if it's showing, means it can be the attacker can write the script. So I'll paste this. I'll send this as well. See the response, and this will see it. So this is where the H1, this is the tag where it show. So this will also show like how it showed in the stored. It'll pop up an alert. So I'll show it to you. I'll just show it in the browser. See, it's popped up. So the last one is DOM based XSS. So here, let me search for something. Let us say tracking kids. Tracking. So here it is tracking your kids. So let's inspect. I'll show you the DOM right now. Inspect. And this is the DOM. This is the code. So this source image track, this is the like output I'm getting for my input, that whatever I've written, that is it is somewhere here. Yes. So this, for this input, this source image is given. So if I put anything else, like let me put this image tag itself. So I have it over here. So let me put this image tag itself. So will it have a problem that I'm putting an image tag or any other symbol, like special characters I'm saying? So let's see if it has a problem. This is the code itself, but it won't run. It won't run because, as you can see over here, there are double quotes, and if I close this, still it won't run. But you can see this. Even if I close this, you can see this is coming out. Why is that? Because the source, the image tag is not being closed. So if I put another special symbol like this, we'll correct this, you'll get an alert just like how you got for the other labs. And here it is, and this is DOM XSS. So hope you all understood. I hope you all enjoyed my presentation. Thank you very much. I thank you for this opportunity.